Hello everyone, today I'm very excited to bring you 3 Zen stories with modern lessons. Hello everyone, exciting stuff. I'm going to take some Zen stories, most of them hundreds if not thousands of years old, that really give us insights into how we live our lives. We're so distracted with reality TV and commercials, and everywhere we go we're bombarded with images. It's really great to know that a long time ago people got this sus, they got it right, and unfortunately they didn't have their own TV show or they didn't have their own printing press, but those stories were passed on orally and they were so good and they made such an impact on people's lives, we kept them around. Who will know who Kim Kardashian is in 1,000 years? I'm not sure. But to know that these stories have lasted 1,000 years means there's something to them. There's something about the human experience. And as always, I'm going to begin with a quote. And that quote is, if you have a gun, you can shoot me 1, 2, 3, 5 people. But if you have an ideology and stick to it, thinking is the absolute truth, you can kill millions. Now, isn't that so true? These dogmas, these beliefs we stick to so strongly that aren't who we are, whether it's fascism in the 1930s, or whether it's racism in maybe in the south of the United States, or all these concepts that people believe are absolute truth and stick to can kill millions, and that's generally what happens. We need to understand that our thoughts create our destiny and shape our world, and if we're not in control of our thoughts, then ultimately our world will not be what we want. And this is best illustrated by a couple of different stories. I'm going to begin with one of my favourite. This is really grounds me, the story, and it's called The Moon Cannot Be Stolen. And the story goes, Rokan, a Zen master, lived the simplest kind of life in a little hut at the foot of a mountain. One evening, a thief visited the hut, only to discover there was nothing to steal. Rokan returned and caught him. You may have come a long way to visit me, he told the thief, and you should not return empty-handed. Please take my clothes as a gift. The thief was bewildered. He took the monk's clothes and slunk away. Rokan sat naked, watching the moon. He said, poor fellow, I wish I could have given him this beautiful moon. This happened to me recently, and this story was so important. I had my bike stolen, my push bike, and at first I was a little bit no, I like this push bike, I painted it myself. And then I realised the person who stole it needed it more. I know that sounds crazy, but this is what I understood from this simple story, is that people can't take what's really important. They cannot take who you are. These things will go anyway. Whether you have your bike stolen, it will disappear. It will be taken from you at some level, whether it's through death, illness, sickness, injury, accident. But know that all you need, you have already, and you won't stress the small stuff. The next story is called The Real Miracle. When Banki was preaching at the Rumon temple, a Shinsu priest who believed in salvation through the repetition of the name of Buddha of love was jealous of his large audience and wanted to debate him. Banki was in the midst of a talk when the priest appeared, but the fellow made such disturbance that Banki stopped his discourse and asked about the noise. The founder of our sect, boasted the other priest, has such miraculous powers that he held a brush in one hand on one bank of the river. His attendant held up paper on the other bank, and the teacher wrote the holy name of Amida through the air. Can you do such wonderful things? Banki replied lightly, perhaps your fox can perform that trick, but that is not the manner of Zen. My miracle is that when I feel hungry, I eat, and when I feel thirsty, I drink. This is one of those classic examples of Zen saying that's nice that all this fluff and stuff's happening, but sometimes eating is just incredible if you're really there. Sometimes drinking when you're thirsty is the most amazing feeling. We don't need to be superhuman creatures. We are divine already. This magic that we look at is just fluff. In fact, there's Yoga Sutras and Buddhist texts from the past that talk about as you become more enlightened and you meditate more, sometimes you will feel like you have supernatural powers and you can do things that aren't within the norm. These are really interesting texts. And what they say is, ignore that stuff. It doesn't matter. Being a human, leaving thought at the door is all the experience you'll ever need. And finally, the final story is called Nothing Exists. Yamoka Teshu was a student of Zen. He visited one master after another. Finally, he called upon Jukon of Soku. Desiring to show his attainment, he said, the mind, Buddha, and sentient beings, after all, do not exist. The true nature of phenomenon is emptiness. There is no realization, no delusion, no sage, no mediocrity, and nothing given or can be received. Dukon, who was smoking quietly, said nothing. Suddenly he whacked Yamoka with his bamboo pipe. This made the youth quite angry. If nothing exists, inquired Dukon, where did this anger come from? One of the great realizations of Zen is that yes, the true nature of everything is emptiness, but the reality we bring forth is real. And you can deny all you want, but it is here. And even the understanding that it doesn't exist, if it doesn't help you at an experiential level, that is day to day, it's meaningless. And that was best illustrated by, I just got angry and hit you, so where did that come if nothing exists? And what the Zen Masters really exhibiting is that live your life through Zen, live your life, your actions, not great words, not being able to intellectualize and theorize about the time-space continuum or quantum mechanics. I mean, that's fun and that's entertainment, but living a happy life is far more compelling and far more important. Your happiness is far more important than your intellect. Zen has been incredible for me. These stories are wonderful, and I love to, remind myself from time to time that these are the stories that no one made money off. These are the stories that, were probably only told to a few people, but made it around the world. Sometimes I think about the modern stories we're told, whether it's from big filmmakers. I recently watched a movie and it seemed like it was like a Navy SEAL recruitment ad rather than a movie. And I asked myself, are these the stories that we need to know, or are there better stories we can look into? It's something to think about. I can't wait to see you till tomorrow. Until then, goodbye.